Games, New York. For those who've never seen us or been here before, you'll find that we are a veritable culture of video games. We carry everything from the original video game system to the current stuff. We carry any video game from anywhere in the world for consoles. We don't do computer anymore. If you take a look around, you can see that we have a nice set-up museum here, spanning almost 4 decades of video gaming. Down here in the bottom we have the very first home video game system, the Odyssey. Came out in the 70s, all the way up to the like limited edition PlayStation 3's test units for the previous generation, the imports of Famicoms, Super Famicom, Game & Watches down here. These are the early Nintendo handheld systems. You'll find these were no cartridges, just one game per system, and the game, once you beat it, you would just play it again, and it would keep repeating over and over until you're done. All of our discs are in a generally amazing condition. All of our machines are thoroughly tested. We guarantee and we certify everything we do, which is extremely hard to do in the retro world. It's very hard to come across the perfectly working stuff, and that's what we strive to provide. Neo Geo cartridges. These are very expensive cartridges since the day they came out. They're also mammoth. If you look at the size of them, they're huge. The beautiful thing about them is this introduced no loading times whatsoever, very high graphics. It was arcades in your own home. GameCube system that had a DVD player built in. Also it has a full LCD panel. It plays MP3s. It plays regular music CDs. It's got backlighting for the entire thing, lights it nice and blue. You can see here I have like a twin Famicom. These are developed by Sharp for Famicom. They actually have the disk drive and the Famicom built into one system instead of having them separate where you would just layer them on top of each other. Another beautiful thing is not too many people ever even got to touch one of these. This is the successor to the TurboGrafx system. This is the PCFX, where NEC tried to take their growing and very popular PC market and bring it into the gaming world, specifically designed for it. They had less than 40 games for it. They didn't make very much, but the games on it played very much like computer games. You even have a keyboard and mouse for it. But towards the end of the system, like some of them, they allowed some more adult content to come in. They allowed a lot of like dating sims and very popular series from that. It's just they've never been re-released anywhere else. Another example of something similar like that is that happened on the TurboGrafx. At the end of the life there, also they allowed some adult games to come in. If you look at this one, this is High Lake Fantasy by Games Express. This is a very much adult version of a Final Fantasy. And then we also have Street Fighter 2, which has become kind of very popular. It's a Street Fighter 2 clone, but with a very adult undertone. Maybe at some point you can take a picture of the manual of that. Some of the moves are crazy. She's got like a sonic boom coming out of her ass. Moving on to another section of our store, you'll find that we have a lot of classic games. We have walls of games. So like right in this section you're going to find a wall of harder to find Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Genesis games. A lot of them in various condition, coming from loose to complete. Even a lot of sealed, brand new games from the 80s. We kind of, again, strive to provide an insane collection of stuff, and we maintain it very well. Even though, again, it's a very revolving stock. One day we could have a ton of something. It could have, stacks of Donkey Kong, and the next day I could have none. And it's the same with anything popular. It kind of comes in and goes out. And sections change in the store. We are a small store. We accommodate for what stock we have. So if I have to move stuff around, that's how it works. Like right now, all of our Japanese Saturn stuff is spined here, so it's semi-easy to read and peruse through, but other times it may be in a different section as they grow and shrink. If we kind of move this way, you see that right now our Nintendo 64 section has taken up a large area because it's become popular. Right now a lot of the people that used to have 64 as a child are becoming adults. They have their real jobs, they're out of college now, and they're wanting to go back and revisit the 64 systems. And that has made it very popular. Below it we have a small selection of what we have here put out. This is the Famicom and Super Famicom, the Mega Drive, and then the Mega CD, which are the imported Genesis and Sega CD. If we move up here, you'll see every game up here is a brand new sealed in-box Nintendo 64 title. Most of our sealed stuff, we go to protect it even further. These have the original shrink wrapping on them, and then on top of that we put them in a hard case, which if you do purchase the game you also get the included case. Just a little extra for collectors to help, you know, preserve the integrity of the actual item. You know, moving over to like this side, you'll notice that PlayStation 2 has now kind of drifted off into its own section at a different part of the store. It's because PS2 is now becoming towards the end of its life. A lot of good titles are becoming hard to find. PS3 stuff, 360 stuff is now on its way in. It's been out for a couple of years, and they've stopped printing mostly. So we put a lot of work into displaying as much as we can of it and trying to keep in stock a lot of the great titles that people are looking for. You know, the PS2, much like the PS1, had an amazing catalog of games that people want to play for years and years. Moving down here, we have Dreamcast games. Again, both American and Japanese, both new and used. We have a very staggering amount of new Dreamcast stuff at the moment. I have Shenmue sealed, Jet Grand Radios, brand new, Choo Choo Rocket, Space Channel 5. Sonic Adventure. We have all new accessories. You know, at the right time we bought the right stock. We have the official keyboards, mice, VMUs, and controllers, all for $15, brand new in their original packaging. We continue to even stock the new games that come out. You know, like Dux and Last Hope, the Pink Bullets. Both came out within the last year or two. As well as like Rush Rush Rally and the Wind and Water Puzzle Battles. These are all games being developed by other companies now, but releasing them very currently for the Dreamcast system. Same with PlayStation 1. While no one's really maintaining new games for those, there's still an amazing selection of games which we will always try to put a lot of work into. PlayStation 1 had one of the best catalogs ever, especially for games like RPGs and sports and driving and everything else. It was a very versatile console.
This is a new system by Game Park Holdings. It's a system called the Game Parks Holdings Canoe. And basically what it is, it's a system that allows you to play video games on it, like emulators, Super Nintendo, Genesis, Neo Geo, Neo Geo CD. It's really, really responsive. Nice clear sound. It's definitely worth it. I mean, $150 is not such a steep price, considering that you can basically download whatever you want for it. Yeah, it also does other things, like you can run apps on it. It has like a Lynx browser, an internal flash player.
Just so you know, you can just stack.
You can also listen to music. You know, a lot of music. You can put your music there. It supports AVI, supports WAV files. You can see here, I have a lot of Redman. I'm a Redman fan, so I have a lot of that in here. For, like I said, for everything else that it does, and to be able to support movies and music, it's actually really good for the price. Like I said, the price that you pay. You know, so it's an excellent little system.
Video games are not just an entertainment object, but they're even part of culture of this country. You know, most of the people think video games are a Japanese product. In reality, they're not. They're completely an American product. They're born in the US, and of course, after the crisis of the 80s, Nintendo picked up the whole video game industry and made it again very successful. But still, they represent the part of the history of this country. The disc system for Nintendo. This is a Japanese only thing, but it was an attachment for the Famicom, the original Famicom, that is the Japanese version of the original Nintendo, where you could use a floppy disk. And of course Nintendo stopped producing because everybody could copy the floppy disk. The Professor, this is the Japanese version, there's even the US version, and it pretty much he allows you to program, or if you want even to copy Super Nintendo game and to print in a cartridge. So this is something very interesting to use. You have here like a debugging system, so these are like for the Xbox, for the original PS2. So that's what the company used to test their games before they publish the game to see if there are bugs, if the things that have to be fixed. This is one of the 96 copies of the grey cartridge, Nintendo World Championship 1990. In 1990, Nintendo organized this gigantic championship in the US, they call World Championship in 1990, and they created a cartridge to play at the tournament. The cartridge include, has a timer that you can see here, it's on and off, and you see 1, 2, 3, 4. This represents the games that are inside the cartridge. And this was from a guy who won, one of the tournaments close to New Orleans. And the history about this cartridge is that it have been saved from Katrina, and because the guy, he had a house in Orleans, and this was in the safe of the house, so he had to go back, in the house immediately after the Katrina. They represent a piece of history, so it's not up for sale. People every month call us and try to buy, but it's something that it is too much an important piece of history for us to sell it. Here we have the typical common PS3, 360 and Wii games. At the same time, we are directly importing with Japan. We have a huge Japanese following, so we import most of the games that don't come out in the US. They are in Japanese. Some of them they're region free, so they're kind of easy to play, like the portable one or the PS3. Some they're region coded, but they are so specific that people will import a system to play them. Because we are in this market, we import directly from Sama Sumitsu arcade parts. So all the big fighting tournament people, they come here to buy arcade parts. We have we pretty much carry only Sama Sumitsu, that are the two most famous Japanese manufacturer of arcade parts. We do between 15 or 20 conventions, most anime conventions around the US, and that's where we find a lot of our followers, a lot of our customers, and pretty much in all the East Coast. We do one show in Texas, Akon, we do another in Los Angeles, and we do one in Toronto, Canada. Sometimes video games is about touching them, and of course, in a video game store, unfortunately, there's a lot of stealing. So everything that has a value has to be locked. You can always ask, and we can show you, you can touch, but there are games that are touchable. And this wall that is Nintendo, Super Nintendo, and Genesis games, pretty much everything under $20 we leave out for people to touch, to browse through. There's a lot of fakes, even on Super Nintendo games, and normally you feel it by the weight. The fake Super Nintendo game normally is a 1 ounce lighter than an original one. This is like sometimes a way even to make people feel what is here, what is real, and have a physical, personal experience about video games.